Ana Maria Barral, she is the cousin of the Menendez brothers. She is the niece of Jose Menendez, the father who was murdered by her cousins. Interesting, the way the family has been very, very vocal, which brings us to the next question in our investigation. And it's about the family. What does the family want? What do they want to see happen here? Obviously, a big part of the family is gone. They're the victims in this case. Let's bring in our guests joining us. Dr. Carol Lieberman, these are, Josh points out, these are really unique dynamics when you talk about where this family is. Like, they're literally in the middle of it all.
Yes, the ones who are asking for their release are basically, you know, saying, well, they killed my brother or my sister or my family member, but you should release them anyway. There were two brothers of Kitty who were against the release. And I think one of them is dead. That's Brian Anderson Sr. And there's still Milton Anderson. Now, he is denying that there was any abuse. He thinks that they killed them because of greed. He wants them to stay in jail, in prison. And, you know, it's interesting because psychologically, I think he may not be ready to acknowledge that there was this abuse. Like, he may not want to admit to himself and to anybody else that his sister married a man who abused them in this way. And also wouldn't want to admit that his sister enabled them. You know, there have been claims of her enabling them and also even some claims of her having abused them. So I think he doesn't want to believe any of that. So he's trying to stay in this safe place. On the other hand, it seems, I mean, there were lots of relatives at that hearing, at the press conference, and they were speaking, you know, for their release. In particular, there was Joan Vandermullen, who's the sister of Kitty, and she was in her early 90s, and she was very impassioned, and she made the best impact of all. You know, this elderly woman speaking so beautifully about what she believes. And in particular, she was saying that their actions were just two boys trying to survive the unspeakable cruelty. And she also said, I had no knowledge of the abuse. She wanted to make sure she was out of this. They were failed by their parents. She admitted that, and by the system and society. She said, and it's true, that society at that time wasn't ready to believe that boys could be raped.
Right.
You know, if they were girls, it would have been much more easy.
You know what's interesting?
Much easier.
Is that the breakdown of Kitty's siblings is the same breakdown of the jury. The men, guilty, lock them up. The women, set them free. So the next question in our investigation, and this takes into account if they are released or the basis for the release. Are the Menendez brothers a risk to the community? And that's a big concern when you release double murderers back into society. Still with me, former prosecutor in LA County, Josh Ritter, and joining me, forensic psychiatrist, author, columnist, also in Los Angeles, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Lieberman, let me start with you. Having lived the lives that they lived, right? Very different, you know, for the first couple decades. Life of luxury, may have been sexually abused, but living Beverly Hills, all of that. Then being locked up. Now they're grown men. What do you think their lives would be like if they were released? Would there be any danger? Would there be any reoffending by the Menendez brothers? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I don't think either one of them would kill somebody. However, I think that they do, or at least Lyle does, represent a danger. I think that whatever happens, there should be a difference made between Eric and Lyle, because they are their portion, their contribution to what the crime was very different. Eric was sexually abused by his father and by Lyle. He told the psychiatrist, which was what ultimately led to their being charged. And he currently has a wife and his stepdaughter. He's had them for a while, that he seems to be having a good relationship with. Lyle, on the other hand, he was the mastermind of the killing. He was the one who said that the father is going to kill them, you know, because when Eric told Lyle, that went against what the father had said. If you tell anybody, I'm going to kill you. So Lyle convinced, you know, Eric looked up to him. He was the bigger brother. And so it was Lyle who really masterminded the whole thing. I don't think Eric would have done it. Also, so I think Lyle is a sociopath. You know, we saw him behind the scenes where he was calling people and trying to get people to lie for him during their trials. And also he, you know, recently he had he's having an affair, so to speak, or he was having, I don't know if it's still going on, with a young woman from Britain, and she came to visit him, and he was found with contraband phones. So I think that the punishment, or if they're released, that the time frame has to be different, because I think Lyle could go on and again not kill anybody, but do what sociopaths do. You know, cheat them perhaps in financial dealings or something like that. So I think it should be different. I don't think it should be one size fits all.
This is a fascinating approach. I haven't heard anyone else really dive into it the way that Dr. Lieberman has here. We only have about 15 seconds left here, Dr. Lieberman, but psychologically, what would that do to the brothers if they were separated at this point and one got out and one was still in?
It would be fair. It would show them that there is a justice system. I think that really, you know, they know what went on. And I think that would be a way to, plus we need to consider what impact their release is going to have on the rest of the world, besides like whether they would kill anyone or be sociopathic.
And all the other people trying to get out and the way the system treats them as well. We are out of time. Dr. Carol Lieberman, thank you so much.